Welcome to the A Minute to Midnight show, folks. This is Tony coming to you from New Zealand. With me on the show today, I have John Heller in Ohio, and of course I'm, as I say, here in New Zealand. Just for a heads up, people may have seen I had a show up with Joni Stahl on YouTube the other day. It lasted about 3 hours. I know a few people were halfway through it when they took it down. YouTube banned it. So, folks, that's unfortunately what's happening. We're getting so much censorship, so we're mainly now posting only trailers on YouTube, because that was my first experiment, putting a full video on YouTube for a while, and it got banned. So I'm back to putting trailers on YouTube, and the main videos, you can go to aminutetomidnight.com. You'll always find all of our shows there completely separate from all other platforms, and also on Rumble and iTunes and BitChute you can find our shows as well. And so, yep, censorship is definitely a big part of things, and our tech overlords, YouTube and Facebook and all of these nasty things going on here. And I have, as I say, John Heller on the show. Welcome, John. I think actually you got a little bit to share on that same front.
Well, yeah, actually, I'm sort of into the. It's very wonderful that our tech overlords provide us with what I would call the content provider training program to kind of keep us on the straight and narrow. I recently had discussed a subject that was not. It used a couple words a word that I guess triggers the review. I had one video I had put up for a conference, and I put it in a private section of YouTube. So it wasn't published. It was marked private just so somebody could, download it and then upload it. It was just sort of a transfer thing. And that one got a warning on it because of the subject, which did not in any way do it. So I took the video down, then found out that because I took it down, I couldn't appeal that. So now we have a warning on our channel. And then I discussed some things about things that are going around the world right now. And we got a strike and said we couldn't post for 7 days. Now I appealed that and I said, I didn't do anything that violates your guidelines. I didn't make any, it was said I was engaging in medical misinformation. And I did no such thing. And they did accept the appeal and put the video back. And it was a video, though, from like 2.5 months ago, from 10 weeks ago in March. And then, so they're going back through old stuff now and applying current standards to old things. I posted about my training program that I was going through on Facebook, and received they tagged it with the standards. Well, no, what I did was I put in a link to YouTube standards on what you're allowed to talk about with regard to a certain disease and treatments. And when I did that on Facebook, then Facebook tagged it with, well, sometimes people don't give accurate information about this. I was posting YouTube standards that I don't agree with. And I was, so as I said, the Google YouTube content provider training program that they provide free of charge is just absolutely wonderful. And I will say that last week I went over to the east side to play some golf, and I drove down a road that I hadn't been down too much. And it used to be farm fields. I mean, it was just farm fields a few years ago. On one side of the road, Facebook has started putting up a server farm. There are 2 buildings built, and a third one's pretty complete, and then there are 2 more. They've spent over $1 billion building this campus of server farms. The buildings are 1,200 feet long, 4 football fields. They have those little push scooters, that for people to get around in there because the buildings are so large. It just creeped me out because they're about 6 stories high. And they're just built for racks and racks and racks and racks of server for all this data and stuff that they're extracting for us. I talked to a friend of mine. He said, "Well, that's the mind of the beast, man. It's being built right there, and it's about 15 minutes away from here where we live, and then across the road, Google's spending 700 million to $1 billion to build server farms, and then Saturday I also went out to a little sort of Amish town called Plain City, west of where we used to live in Dublin." And they used to have, there's some buildings around the outer belt, but now they're like 10 buildings, it looks like, of server farms. And I understand that those are Amazon server farms. So we're sort of, I don't know why they're coming to middle of Ohio to put all these things up. It's good for the economy, but it does, I have to tell you, it creeps me out a little bit. I mean, these buildings are just huge. And it's like a mile in any direction that you look, it's going to be covered by these buildings.
Totally. I think the beast, yes, you're right. And this is it. It's a technocratic beast that we're seeing being built. Okay, so I'm going to end the YouTube part of this here. And so, folks, if you want to watch the rest of this, go to aminutemidnight.com primarily, or Rumble, or BitChute, or iTunes. You can hear an audio version of it. So that's it for YouTube.